Bila Tserkva is a city of regional importance, a significant economic, cultural and educational center of Kyiv region. The city was founded in 1032 by Prince Yaroslav the Wise of Kyiv to strengthen the southern borders of the state. Jews settled in Bila Tserkva as early as the 16th century. These were mainly small traders. In 1648, a significant part of the city's Jewish community was exterminated or expelled by Khmelnytskyi's Cossacks. In the 18th century, there were few Jews in Bila Tserkva. The settlement of the city by Jews was hindered by constant wars and military skirmishes. Almost every war was accompanied by Jewish pogroms. A peaceful life for the Jews was brought by the new owners of the city, the Brnicki. The Brnicki are Polish noble and magnate families. There are 4 known families of Brnicki, which had completely different origins. The center of Jewish life in Bila Tserkva became the trade square, in the center of which the Brnicks built large shopping rows with 85 shops. A whole Jewish town grew up around the market square in the 19th and early 20th centuries. At the end of the 19th century, Jews lived in the city, and at the beginning of the 20th century, the number of Jews increased. Even in 1989, Jews lived in Bila Tserkva. This happened due to the occupation of the city in 1941, during which Jews were shot. And according to the 2001 census, only 150 people lived in the city. But the legacy of the Jews left the Bila Tserkva quite significant. Until 1941, the Jewish town was much richer in architecture and more harmonious, but the merciless bombing of the city in 1941 deprived the Bila Tserkva of most of its buildings. Sholem Aleichem, Jewish writer, dramatist, one of the founders of modern fiction in the Yiddish language. He was born in the city of Pereslov in the Poltava region, in the family of a small shopkeeper. His childhood years passed in the small town of Voronkiv, studied at Cheder, Jewish primary religious school. Solomon Rabinovich first came to Bila Tserkva in 1880, then he lived for several days at 22 Berdichevska Street. It was here that Solomon became Shalom Aleichem. On the wall of the building was a commemorative plaque was installed in honor of the visit of the Jewish progressive writer Shal Aleichem to the Bila Tserkva, after whom one of the streets of the city is named. In 2018, the project of a monument to this famous writer won the competition of public initiatives. In 1915, he moved to New York, where he died. One of the currently known Jewish cemeteries is the Starokyivsky. But at the end of the 16th century, away from the city, the oldest known 2D cemetery was established. Apparently, with a break for the second half of the 17th, beginning of the 18th century, this cemetery continued to exist. Later, the forest where was formed next to the cemetery, and a complex of military buildings was built behind the cemetery, which from the end of the 19th century was occupied by a cavalry regiment. The issue of establishing the number of Holocaust victims in Bila Tserkva is extremely difficult. The documentation of the German occupation authorities has not yet been found. In total, they contained corpses of shot men, teenagers, children, women, and babies. On August 5, order of the Burgomaster's office was posted on the streets of the city. It is suggested that all Jews over the height of 12, men and women living in the city of Bila Tserkva and the surrounding areas of Zarekia, Rotok, Alexandria, appear at the Burgomaster's office on August 8 in the morning for registration. Evasion of registration will be punished under martial law. Burgomaster. Most likely, the text of the order was translated from German or written by an ethnic German. This is indicated by the term height used to denote age. But, in fact, the Burgomaster, who was formed 3 days before the issuance of this order, had no right to make such decisions on his own. This was the area of competence of the field gendarmerie. As executions continued for several more weeks, they moved to the 5th military site, from where the sounds of gunshots were constantly heard. The local population was shocked. One German translator mentioned that after that the Germans began to be called dogs. In March 1942, the Germans decided to release the Jews who were still held there from the prison and provided them with several houses. At the time, the prison was located on the street. When about 200 people gathered, they were taken to the 7th military site and shot. Today, the Tserkva garage cooperative is located on this site, during the construction of which the remains of the tortured were removed and reburied in the cemetery in Sukhoi Yar. The administration of the children's home saved the Jewish children who were being raised within its walls, replacing their names with Ukrainian ones. There were also no less than 11 children of Jewish nationality in orphanage who were saved from death by the staff. However, in August 1941, in Children's Institution, its management provided information about pupils with an indication of their nationality. The 6 Jewish children who were there were doomed. Before the shooting, children under the age of 7 were taken from adults and driven into a house located somewhere in the central part of the city. They were not fed, their crying disturbed the German soldiers, who asked the chaplains to resolve something with the children. Army priests appealed to the division command. The end of this issue was put by the commander of the 6th German Army, Field Marshal Reitnow, who said that the started work should be completed.